Tingles with flyby. Hello, Jackie. How are you doing today? Welcome to our chocolate studio. Did your niece give you much of an indication of what we were doing today? No? Okay, just said you were going to have a little pampering. Well, this is pampering of a very particular sort. We here do believe in the ultimate luxury of chocolate and love to share this indulgence with others. So, what we specialize in is very special collections of chocolates. But before I get into this collection, I just want to talk generally about some of the principles behind single origin chocolates. Have you heard of single origin chocolates before? No? Well, I always compare it to wine. It's usually the easiest way to get people to understand. Are you much of a wine drinker? No, that's not a problem. I assume you like chocolate though. Yeah, most people do. The concept between very fine wines, is often the concept of terroir. You heard of that? No. You probably are aware of the concept even if you haven't heard of it. It's basically the concept that perhaps you've heard of a wine from a particular region in France having a particular taste, and in a different area it might have a different taste. You have those kind of flavor profiles or notes that vary based on different places. But obviously with wine, it's all grapes. And so though all of those differences basically come down to the variety of grapes, the soil, and the climate in that particular area. And so you can get all these different flavors that come out, and a good winemaker really helps to enhance those differences and really just bring out something beautiful and special in one particular bottle of wine. So single origin chocolate is based around the concept of terroir. Cocoa is grown in these pods. They're usually kind of yellow or green, some slightly orange color. And so in the pods they grow. But while you have your Trinitario and Criollo varieties, there's a few different types of beans, but most of the differences, even with one Trinitario, one grown in Madagascar or Montanya, they'll have a very different flavor profile. And that is part of what makes this chocolate so special. The terroir can bring out kind of hidden flavors within chocolate. And this is something that you will never experience with just your generic Hershey's chocolate or anything like that, because they use beans from multiple locations and they're not hand picked. This is very high quality chocolate. The chocolate producers are very well remunerated for their work because they have such passion in growing fine beans. And then for this particular line, for our Amano chocolates, then they are shipped to Orem, Utah, where Art Pollard, the chocolatier, turns them into the delicious, delectable bars that you see before you today. In each of these bars, there are only 4 ingredients: cocoa beans, pure cane sugar, cocoa butter, and just the tiniest hint of vanilla to really offset the flavor. Now there are a few different single origin chocolatiers throughout the world, but we wanted to choose you one that is very high quality, but also has a little special connection for you as well, as Amano is made in Utah, where you're from. And so this is actually the Amano Chocolate Factory. It's actually the highest altitude chocolate factory in the world, higher than any in the Swiss Alps or anything like that. And high altitude is one other thing that produces very, very fine chocolates. And so that is why the factory is there, the beans are shipped, and then you get the chocolate made there. Now this collection that you see is a vintage collection. Amano actually have a more recent line that has come out. This is from 2014. They don't even use this packaging anymore, but I think this is one of their finest lines of chocolate. And so on your day of pampering, I wanted to share with you this luxury and very rare line of chocolates. Not many still have it intact with all 6 bars. Particularly these 2 are particularly rare. Because of weather variations, differences in season length, hot spells, dry spells, rainy spells, every single year you'll get variations in the chocolate. And so these chocolate bars, when you have them, you will never have the exact same experience again. And that is part of the unique magic of terroir. Now it can be a very intimate experience as you roll this chocolate on your tongue and just try and tease out the flavors. And so we will be sending these bars home with you. So what I'll be doing today is just discussing with you the different flavor notes, giving you a little bit of history on them, but then I will send these bars home with you so that you may enjoy them however you desire. I will send you home with paperwork on the flavor notes, so you don't have to feel any pressure at all to remember the flavor notes I give to you today. So, shall we begin? The first bar we have here is this beautiful Madagascar bar. So Madagascar has long been known as a fine producer of cocoa beans. The beans from Madagascar are primarily Trinitario and Criollo. They're grown on a single family-owned estate in the Sambriano Valley of Madagascar. Now, when we use the term single origin, that generally means from a particular country. But because all of these beans were grown on one estate, this is actually a single estate bar as well. So that is kind of the creme de la creme. There's a bit of magic in these cocoa beans, and it's the unique combination of climate and soil in Madagascar. It's combined with the way that the family ferments and dries the cocoa, and that family really cares about giving you the highest quality beans. This is truly a product of love. So, what I will go through with you today, though, is the smell of these chocolates. So, I recommend, even when you are at home, smelling before you even open the box. It actually has quite a strong smell. And of course, once you open it and take off the gold foil and reveal the chocolate underneath, then I recommend taking it very slow, giving it a really nice smell to really see what aromas you can pick up. You may notice an immediate and strikingly balanced complexity in the form of raspberry, strawberry, and lime on a bed of fresh tobacco leaves. A subtle mint aroma, tarragon, and a few other fresh herbs. Once you snap the chocolate, you'll also notice a few different smells. You get a note of blueberry, plum, and a light woodiness, which will also begin to show itself. Now, when you take this upon your palate, I recommend taking not even a pea-sized piece, the tiniest piece. And as you take that onto your palate, I recommend just swirling it around on your tongue, letting it coat your tongue backwards and forwards. And you'll notice at different points in your tongue, different flavors will emerge. You'll get fresh, creamy softness, a little bit of strawberry with a mix of herbs and tobacco, a beautiful mild floral flavors. It's a bit heathery. That one can be hard to pick up on. And you'll notice a strong wave of citrus that takes center stage. You've got lime, hints of tangerine mixed with fresh cream, a sprig of mint, strawberry, and when I can detect it, one of my favorites, which is sweet balsamic. The finish is light with a little bit of restrained tannins, a hint of cedar, a touch of pecan, and the faintest echoes of fruit. It's a truly remarkable chocolate. The next bar that we have is the Morobe. And this comes from Papua New Guinea. This is one of the Earth's wildest regions. Towns no more than outposts. Rules of the Wild West predominating with roving bands, vigilante justice. And here too is one of the world's hidden gems when it comes to fine quality cocoa. Very little cocoa from New Guinea actually makes it outside of Indonesia. Most is used for internal consumption. So the chocolate made from these beans is exceptionally special. The flavors found in the chocolate made from the cocoa in the wilds of the Morobe province have beautiful citrus notes, a bit of lime and red grapefruit, earthy notes and balance, and you get a nice roll of flavor. I'll go into this a little more in detail. Just take a nice whiff of that. It's quite interesting, isn't it? It's a little intriguing sourness, the hint of grapefruit, sharp raspberry, cherry, and a bit of bitter almond. Fresh leather and a hint of damp wood with a little bit of a smoky background. When taken onto the palate, you get a wave of acidity with notes of sweetened grapefruit, gooseberries, sour apple, and lime rind. These soften into a bit of red currant, raspberries, but it's still quite sharp and quite intense. You've got some other notes kind of behind those more bold notes, a faint anise and leather, and a little touch of smoke. I think occasionally this one gives me a little hint of a bacon feel almost. It's a very unique experience. It's always crazy to think that you can get that flavor just from cocoa beans. You've got a little salty quality, which can be common in Papua New Guinea beans. And you have a short finish with a little herbal, extremely clean, and your palate is left feeling fresh with only the most restrained of tannins in evidence. So this is a beautiful representation of the terroir of the wild lands of Papua New Guinea. I also love the packaging on this particular chocolate. The newer chocolates are okay, but I love just this black and gold packaging and these beautiful dynamic paintings in the middle. Next we have the Dos Rios bar. This comes from the Dominican Republic, and it is a beautiful, beautiful bar. It's got a very different, if you give that a smell. Yeah. The very powerful and unique aroma. It's a bit of Earl Grey tea, some fruit scents, bergamot, orange, jasmine floral, a little bit of dairy, roast, and some spice as well. When taken on the palate, you'll definitely notice kind of an Earl Grey tea flavor, a bit of sweetness, range of orange including tangerine and clementine, jasmine floral, and a little bit of tannin. You've got a bit of dairy and spice and an unexpected nutty flavor. This chocolate has a beautiful melt, very smooth, a medium length, and the flavor lasts about 20 to 25 seconds after the chocolate was gone. The finish is tannin with just a hint of orange. And I think the citrus in here is why they've chosen this orange coloring in the packaging. It's a very unique, very beautiful chocolate. And moving on, we have the Ocumare chocolate bar. These beans come from a lovely little town in Venezuela. They have ox cart with streets, and they've been a prized cocoa producer since the 1600s. The people of Ocumare are gentle and humble, most having indigenous background, with a few influences from Spain and the Caribbean. So this is a very special place, most of the farmers being indigenous, and of course the remuneration that they get from the Amano chocolate factory is very helpful in that community. So let's give that one a smell. It's a nice aroma, isn't it? It's got cherry and raspberry fruitiness. Yeah, it's kind of an early smell, and you get a bit of molasses and wood in the aroma. It's a bit atypical for what people consider for an Ocumare chocolate. So the particular estate and the way these beans are done may be different if you've ever had an Ocumare before. On the taste, you'll notice there's a slight surprise when you first take it onto your palate. A taste of woody, kind of a cedar presence, a little suggestion of cherry. Then it shifts into a very fruity mode, similar to the aroma, with currant taking the lead and a hint of plum. On the finish, you've got cocoa with a hint of smoke and espresso, but it definitely is a very fruity bar. It's a very smooth, superbly creamy, and it's got a beautiful high polish. Very lovely. Now, none of these chocolates are what I would term normal or unremarkable, but there is kind of the cream of the crop, and these two bars at the end really stand out. In most circles, the Chuao is considered the best chocolate, but my personal favorite is the Montanya chocolate. I suppose you'll see what your own favorite is. So let's discuss this beautiful Montanya bar. It's actually quite rare for cocoa to be grown in the mountains. Most is grown in secluded valleys or relatively flat areas. This chocolate is made from cocoa beans that break that mold. The cocoa beans for Montanya come from deep within the mountains of Venezuela. Montanya is the Spanish word for mountain. The only way to reach these secluded farms is either to hike or by horseback. Similarly, the cocoa beans are brought out by horseback after the farmers have carefully harvested, fermented, and dried the beans to bring out their most beautiful flavor. These rare cocoa beans produce a chocolate like no other, with a complex, deep, rich flavor that is sure to make chocolate lovers swoon. This was released as a limited edition due to the rarity of the cocoa beans used to produce it. If you smell it, it doesn't have most bold aroma. It's rather mild. It's got a little spicy cherry, very strong vanilla, hints of woody treacle tea, and keep it from being too generic. But the aroma is a little misleading, as it does not hint at all to the absolutely extraordinary flavor which comes on with far greater strength. The immediate impression on the palate is usually fruity, with cherry, red currant, melon, apple, and then deep, rich, winey with a suggestion of chili. It's a really beautiful progression of chocolate that shines at every stage. And this limited edition chocolate is something So now I will move on to our final chocolate bar. This is perhaps the world's finest chocolate. If there is one place in the world that chocolate is grown, that is referred to with reverence, it is the tiny village in Venezuela called Chuao. Chuao is home to the world's most highly sought after cocoa beans. Amano is one of the few producers that is able to secure Chuao beans. Since the 1600s, there has been an exclusive arrangement between another chocolate producer called Amano, which is a very fine chocolate producer, and Chuao. But recently, that exclusive agreement lapsed, and Amano was able to secure the rights to some of these exceptional beans. And that is how the beans have made it into this bar that you see in front of you. Chuao is on Venezuela's Caribbean coast. The only way that you can get in or out is by hiring a fishing boat or to make an 8-hour arduous hike over coastal mountains. It has been like this for 400 years, and for 400 years, Chuao has maintained itself and its reputation as the world's finest cocoa. It's what I love on this image in particular. If you look here, it's actually an image when the beans are fermenting and, drying. They take them out of the pods. And actually in the town square, they put them in these large circles like this. And they'll actually rake them out. So it really is a chocolate growing town. Because right there in the town square is all these heaps of cocoa beans. It's a very special bar. So I'm going to give that a little smell. It has a very mild aroma. Probably can't quite detect anything in particular on this bar, but yeah, fairly mild. When you take it onto the palate, it starts off with that same mildness, but then something very interesting starts to develop. The flavor becomes a little green, fresh, with a hint of fermentation. It actually tastes a lot like cacao eaten straight off the ground, if you've ever had that. There's no vinegar. It's not too tart, but just a little bit to give a thrill. Then you get a fruit, plum, marmalade, background licorice, green olives, a hint of toffee, pleasantly sweet and very palatable. Then you get a cream toffee, chocolate cream. It's typical of a Venezuelan criollo. And a hazelnut praline. The length is gently tannic, combining with the cream and fruit to create a fruit, salad, and chocolate pudding effect, perhaps with a green tea on the side. Has a very long flavor that holds up exceptionally well. And you can definitely appreciate why people consider this the world's finest chocolate. So these are the bars that we have for you today. They have been pre-paid for you, and as I said, I will be sending you with the tasting notes. The favorite thing for me, and I think the best experience, is to sit down with a couple friends or family members to smell and discuss what flavors you can detect, and then take it onto the palate and share this amazing experience. Chocolate is beautiful. Chocolate is delicious. And this most amazing chocolate will be even better when shared with others. It has been my absolute pleasure to meet you today, and I hope you and whoever you decide to share this chocolate with truly enjoy it. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.